But there was a story I bookmarked, I think yesterday, maybe this morning, and the reason we're not going to go too in depth into it is it's pretty much burnt out. But there was a release this morning. Waikato hospital staff told to speak English only. I'll just go through the whole story and just go straight to the email. Concerns have been raised across the nursing workforce within the hospital settings about the variety of spoken languages being used in the clinical setting. It is timely to be reminded that English is the spoken language in clinical settings. Each nurse is required by Nursing Council New Zealand to achieve competency both in the written and spoken language of English. Consistent use of one language reduces the possibility of missed care, misunderstanding of clinical requirements, and enhances safe team work. It is acknowledged that within other settings where decision-making, planning, treatment, and evaluating interventions are not the prime purpose of that interaction, te reo and or sign language could be utilised. However, in the clinical setting, English language, both spoken and written, supports clinical safety, and as such, the expectation is this will be adhered to. Now, of course, straight away, Chewy, I go, they did mention te reo, but why are you saying in a clinical setting, one of our other official languages can't be? So they're saying you can't use official sign language. And then, of course, I start to go, what if, sorry to be the bearer of bad tidings, what if the person in the clinical situation is deaf and you're instructing people they're not to use sign language in a deaf? What if the person's, let's say they're Indonesian. What if the patient's Indonesian and there's an Indonesian nurse that could speak to that patient in their native tongue? Then what do we do? I just thought when I saw it this morning, it was so weird and so heavy-handed and so clunky. I mean, what would make sense is use the language that best helps the patient understand the situation they're in. And it just felt very much like that sort of, no more te reo, we're going to call it Health New Zealand, all that kind of stuff. Well, the reason that's sort of long story short is then they basically backed down immediately. Fury over Waikato Hospital English-only directive to nurses. A Waikato hospital directive that nurses only speak English in a clinical setting has caused outrage with claims it's a bombastic overreach. Now the Minister of Health has shot down the memo, saying nurses can speak their own language when appropriate. Much more sensible. And on Tuesday afternoon, Health New Zealand Te Whatu Ora appeared to back down, saying it was up to healthcare staff to exercise their professional judgment on the appropriate language, which of course is completely not what they were saying in that email. And it just kind of made me think, is this, and I don't want to blame the government, but when the government makes these proclamations about how English must come first in so many settings, is this someone within their management structure going, this is what this government would like or not? I don't know. I've got another sort of example of this, because not of this, but I'll show you in a second, because that's when I then lead into, if people are making these decisions or proclamations or policies based on what they think the government would like, what does that say about the messages that the government is putting out there? I've got another example of that as well, but we'll get to it in a sec. Got any thoughts?
Yeah, some really weird thoughts. Like, usually when something like this comes out, right, it's in response to an incident or some sort of issue. And I just can't see where it would have come from. We've got a lot of nurses in New Zealand from overseas. I could imagine that if a group of nurses were working together and they decided to speak their own language, so what? I don't imagine that someone's going to run up to the patient and give them a rundown of what's going on in a completely foreign language. And I think making just a boilerplate rule for all that we just speak English here, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, and that's exactly what the back down is. Use your professional judgment. Yeah, like nursing staff and doctors do every single fucking day, because that's their job. Like they're not children. Just a notice for all fourth years: no running in the halls. That's what it comes off as.
Don't use that syringe twice on different people. Remember it, please.
Remember, ladies, kilts down to your knees.
This is about to take a fairly dramatic turn, but stay with me, baby birds. I won't say anything. I'll just show you the picture of the dramatic turn. You ready? Here it comes. It's a fairly dramatic turn. Let me explain.
Yes. Hey, please tell me you got the video of what happened to them.
Yeah. I've got a couple of videos.
Good.
So this is basically Nazis for Trump. Now, the right are trying to say these are Democrats or these are Antifa or that kind of stuff. There's been no evidence of that. And they decided to join a Republican rally that had, I think, was it Lara Trump, the DNC co-chair or something, was a part of this. And so they decided that they would join in the celebrations around Trump.
Wow, look at those beautiful swastikas. There we go.
By the way, I hope you enjoy this, because this has immediately had us demonetized for this video.
Like again.
Yeah. So there was a bit of hubbub about this, and then of course everyone came out and they went, these guys were just dicks. They weren't representative of what we're doing, and they actually kind of lambasted them and sprayed water all over them like here, calling them pieces of shit, that kind of stuff. And they do this. So they do that. Now, stay with me, baby birds, because the tangent, I guess, or the parallel I'm drawing is Republicans need to ask themselves the questions: why you're not a Nazi, right? Republicans in that boat, got it. You abhor them, got it, right? Completely. But why are they attracted to the message that your leader is putting out there? That's the only question I've got. Not that you're a Nazi person in the other boat, not that you endorse them. You probably find them repulsive. But the question is, why are they attracted to the message of the man you're following? And I guess it might be a little bit of a slightly weak connection. Why would a place like Te Whatu Ora put out the messaging of no Maori to be spoken at all? I mean, English only, no matter what, English only, English only, English only. Is it because they are following on from a government that they think this is what they'd want? Why is that messaging coming out now under this government? Do you know what I'm saying?
Sorry, Pat, we went to the boats and now we're back from the boats and I feel like I've been transported. Yes, I do get exactly what you mean. And I think what you're saying here is when the government has such Eurocentric viewpoints hammered home after 10 months, almost 12 months, then you get people reading between the lines.
Yeah.
And going, I'm definitely going to pin this on the staff room board. This is going to go very well.
The thing about the Trump Nazis, and that's this ideology that, not every Republican's racist, but racists seem far more emboldened these days, and they feel far more available and able to show their faces without impunity. So I'm not saying anything about whoever made that decision at Te Whatu Ora, but I struggle to think that would have happened under a Labour government. I struggle to think. Now, it might have been because it might have been whatever, but I struggle to think it would. It's very coincidental that it didn't. And what is that message, whether the government's instructed it or not, that's come from the top down, that's got some middle manager or some runner of, Waikato to Whatu Ora to actually go, hey, English only. That's the connection I'm trying to make.
Yeah, it sort of goes back to something I said a week or two ago, is that we need to get back to a place where racists are afraid again.
Yeah.
I can't let this viewpoint out because something will happen to me or people won't like it. Yes, that's exactly right. You're self-controlling at that point.
Yeah.
Your views are abhorrent. You know that most people don't agree with them. You keep them to yourself. Yeah. That's fine. You can believe whatever the fuck you want as long as you keep it to yourself. The moment that you start doing shit like this, I'd love to be on the thought process of the guys that like, let's put a swastika on a boat. Like historically, that hasn't gone well for a bunch of Nazis. But yeah, the idea that you can go down the street with a swastika on a t-shirt and go home at the end of the day with all of your teeth. People shouldn't have that comfort.
The way you mentioned it, I think it was Helmut Moldick who in the debate last week, who talked about the person who used to be in the dark in the corner of the lounge is now again the word emboldened to come out and speak those horrible things, and that's what's happening in New Zealand as well. So yeah, it's just, I saw the connection. I was just like, I'm not over dramatizing it. I'm not being a drama queen, and I'm not kind of saying, oh, look what this government's done. It's like, but it's really interesting that kind of connection or that kind of policy would be changed under a government that, from the outside looking in, appears to have wanted to subjugate as much of the Maori language as they can. So that's the environment that these people are now working in, to perhaps go, oh yeah, we'll just follow along with the vibes they're putting out there.
And look, a hat tip to, this is going to be a very rare sentence. I think I'm creating it. A hat tip to those Trump supporters that decided to confront those floating Nazis.
Yeah.
Because I saw an excellent photo where they were getting absolutely punished by a couple of boats with their engines.
Yeah.
Just absolutely flooding them out. And this is the sort of thing, right? Everyone can believe in whatever they want to. You could be on 100% the opposite side of the political spectrum from me. The moment that Nazis turn up and you let them stay, that's where I have big problems. That's where I have big. No, Nazis should be all on their own with no allies.
It's the adage of, if there's a Nazi sitting at a table and 11 other people are peacefully eating around them, and there's
burn the table down.
But I still think you're right, and those Trump supporters did give them grief. You're right. I agree with that. Like, if they had to welcome them on, it would be worse. But that doesn't stop the question: why are white supremacists attracted to Trump's messaging? So the person that that doesn't eliminate that question, though. That is still a part of the situation and we said that prior to the election. Remember Posey Parker over in Melbourne? Nazis turned up there, and like, okay, I get it, Posey, you didn't want them there, but they wanted to hear your message. What does that say about your message?